Topping our lineup here on the Now, with schools closed, it can be such a challenge to keep kids learning with everything else that you're juggling. We have help for creating that learning space and the free resources available. Also, coronavirus raising concerns about the future of our primaries and the election in November. We're looking into the push by some groups to get more vote by mail in places. And a hotline connecting seniors and their caregivers with resources is seeing more calls for help. The services they need more now than ever.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Amanda Starrentino, and you're watching the Now Indy. We want to start off with the latest developments in the spread of the coronavirus in Indiana. The state health department today reported Indiana's second death. The patient is a 91-year-old Johnson County woman who passed away at St. Francis Hospital South. We now have had one death each in Johnson and Marion counties, both women. The woman who died yesterday was in her 60s. The State Department of Health also reported 6 new positive cases of coronavirus today, bringing the number to 30. The new cases are 2 each in Franklin, Lake, and Marion counties. And COVID-19 is having an impact on Hoosiers who are trying to get their taxes done. Nancy Bush reached out to RTV6 unsure what to do because she's elderly and has an appointment for next week with a tax preparer. RTV6 checked with the Indiana Department of Revenue, and they say they do not have the authority to waive requirements. However, they are working with the IRS, which could soon announce changes to tax filing deadlines. Still, it's stressful for Nancy.
I've been so stressed. I'm not eating right. I can't sleep at night. I keep waking up all the time. It's driving me right up a wall. I don't know what people do when something like this happens.
Thankfully, Nancy found a tax preparer that allowed her to drop off her tax return. Many companies do offer this service if you'd rather not go into an office. And tens of thousands of kids are not in school right now because of the virus. In the Wayne Township School District, bus drivers and other staff members are delivering meals at more than 1,000 bus stops each day between 10 a.m. and noon. Meals are also available at several schools.
One of the challenges that some of our families have during this period of time is being able to get nutritious meals to their children, especially when we're on shutdown. And so for us to be able to continue to utilize our child nutrition department to bring food to our families just eases some of the burden that they have during this time.
Yesterday, they served more than 3,000 breakfasts and 3,000 lunches, and they expect those numbers to go way up. To find locations where meals will be delivered and served, check the Wayne Township Schools website. Kevin?
There's Indianapolis up close and personal. This is our webcam out at the Pagoda, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, kind of zoomed in. Enjoy the sunshine. It's around until the sun sets, but then clouds take over and rain tomorrow. 52, that's our current temperature. That wind out of the north. Just to show you, we're state divided. Eastern Indiana, cloud cover in place, and then the western portion of the state, we're starting to see more sunshine here before the sun sets. Temperatures will drop to 41 by 11 o'clock tonight. During the day tomorrow, the wind starting to work its way from the east to the southeast, 10 to 15 miles per hour. That will boost the temperature into the mid-50s. Dry when you leave the house in the morning, but turning wet. So carry the umbrella, take a raincoat. Temperatures in the mid-50s as that rain settles in the afternoon.
A nurse who ended up with coronavirus is sharing her story. Now, she's not sure where she got the virus, but says at first her symptoms came and went. Jace Larson shows us how her situation unfolded and how she's feeling now.
The past few weeks have been a bit of a roller coaster for Lisa Merck.
I started having just a little sniffly nose. It's almost like if you go outside and you have, if it's cold out and your nose just starts running a tiny bit.
Lisa, who is a nurse, had just returned from a work trip with her husband when she felt her body changing. Those mild symptoms became worse.
Every time I stood up, I felt like I just kind of wanted to pass out. I got really diaphoretic and sweaty.
But then, just a few days later, she felt well enough to help with a ski race in Crested Butte, Colorado, and even go for a run with her husband. Tests for the flu had come back negative.
I was feeling okay. I watched my little nephew. And then around March 1st and 2nd, I started getting a really bad, I started getting fever. I started getting a little short of breath.
It persisted, and eventually it got so bad she had to go to the ER. By the second week of March, healthcare workers were using coronavirus tests. They tested her, and her test came back positive.
I don't know where I got the coronavirus. That's the hard thing is not knowing. I could have picked it up from a patient. I could have picked it up, from a surface. I have an airport, plane, bus. I have no idea where I got it, and that's the scary thing. And, especially since I am hypervigilant about making sure my hands are clean and that I do the right thing.
She wants us all to understand what to watch for and realize that just like her, most people are going to be able to beat this virus.
But I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling more energetic. I did a little yoga this morning. I did some stretching.
But it's taken her 3 weeks. I'm Jace Larson reporting.
Jace, thank you. And Lisa and her husband are starting their second week of quarantining themselves. Let's get back to our lineup. Parents certainly right now facing a new challenge, taking over teaching at home with all the schools that have been closing. So we have help for how to keep kids focused in their new environment and a look at the free resources available.
Organizations all over Indianapolis are stepping up to help one another. The Red Cross is stressing an urgent need for blood donations as drives across the country have been canceled in recent weeks. Today at the Red Cross downtown office, Mayor Joe Hogsett took some time to make a donation. Donors were all screened and sanitized on their way in. Officials tell us that more than 2,700 blood drives were taken off the calendar in the past month. The mayor says anyone who can help in any way should.
I think that volunteering or donating blood or helping make our community safer and healthier is something that I would deem essential. So I want to encourage anyone who has time on their hands. That's certainly well within what I would interpret to be an essential function for any community.
IndyCar driver James Hinchcliffe also donating blood today. The Red Cross remains a very important cause to Hinch. Dave First catches up with him coming up on the news at 6.
Some parents are preparing to spend extended time working remotely while homeschooling their kids.
Families got this. This is not going to be as difficult as it may look at the outset. Most parents have a PhD in their own kids, so they know really well how they learn and what makes them tick.
Pearson's Connections Academy provides K-12 online education. They say it's important for parents, kids, and teachers to set a schedule, then you stick to it. Individual workspaces can also help keep everybody focused. The Academy says online learning can be more personalized than in a classroom setting. Parents should watch for kids who may be struggling to understand some material and not speaking up.
And sometimes it just takes a word or two of encouragement. So that sense of I'm in this by myself, we work really hard to mitigate that and make sure that students know, in fact, they're part of a community that cares about them as a learner and that will be there for them one-on-one.
Teachers who are working online for the first time can find resources on Pearson.com. Several education companies are also offering free subscriptions because of school closings. That includes Scholastic, which set up a Learn from Home website. Well, one of the big concerns with more people working remotely is how the country's internet infrastructure will hold up. Now, experts say they expect the internet will not be overloaded. However, if multiple people in the same home are trying to use services that use a lot of bandwidth, you could end up with problems there. Internet and TV providers are working to help customers impacted by coronavirus. A number of companies say they won't terminate services for the next 60 days for people who can't pay their bills. Those companies include AT&T, Comcast, and Verizon. Some of those businesses are making other changes like waiving data overage fees and expanding roaming access. All right, ahead in our lineup here on the Now, coronavirus is already raising concerns about the November election.
If we could do it during the Civil War, we could do it now. We just need the resolve and the funding to do it.
We are looking into the push to get vote by mail in more places.
And Keller, right now.
Schools, the economy, now our democracy. The coronavirus pandemic is uprooting nearly every aspect of our lives. So far, 4 states have postponed elections, including in Ohio and Kentucky, while 3 others, including Florida and Arizona, continued on today. Amanda Brandeis is looking how the pandemic could reshape how we vote in November.
It's so important that you get out there and make your voice heard.
Ali Abu Kader spends a lot more time thinking about elections than the average college graduate.
Oh, the ultimate importance. Voting is your voice.
On Super Tuesday, he volunteered to monitor polls at churches and rec centers throughout Southern California. Those places now shut down to stop the spread of COVID-19.
As I guess the fear of coronavirus kind of heightens, it's important that other states and counties here in California consider more vote by mail, making voting a little bit more accessible.
I think for a lot of our registrars and election officials, they have been through some processes where they're planning for emergencies. COVID-19 is adding a whole nother layer.
Kathy Fung is executive director of California Common Cause, a nonpartisan organization dedicated to making voting more accessible. With 30 states in the network, their election protection hotline is being flooded with calls.
State by state, one of the biggest questions is going to be, what are my alternatives?
A newly proposed bill in Congress would give all Americans the right to vote by mail if 25% of states declared an emergency related to the coronavirus. It would provide $500 million to fund the vote by mail efforts. But making that change quickly won't be easy.
If states want to turn more to mail-in by the fall, they have to do an aggressive campaign and put the money into it to be sure everybody gets one, and then you remind them to send them back in.
Political science professor Carl Luna believes Congress should funnel money into dealing with these issues, just as it is into the economy.
Elections have to happen. Congress could postpone the November election, but by January 20th, the president under the Constitution is out of office, and you need to have a replacement in place.
If the general is postponed, it would be a first in American history.
If we could do it during the Civil War, we could do it now. We just need the resolve and the funding to do it.
Until then, voting advocates like Ali remain committed to helping Americans navigate the uncharted road ahead. Reporting in San Diego, I'm Amanda Brandeis.
Amanda, thank you. And Dollar General is looking to help vulnerable populations. It's encouraging stores to make the first hour of being open for seniors only. The company wants to give people who are most at risk of getting coronavirus a chance to shop without crowds. Stores will close an hour earlier for cleaning. And Dollar General isn't alone in its efforts. Some grocery stores in the U.S. as well as abroad are creating hours just for seniors. Woolworths in Australia just started offering the special shopping period here in the U.S. Some stores in places like New Jersey are jumping on the trend. Celebrity chef Jose Andres is encouraging others to do the same. Well, there are a number of ways to help others during the pandemic. Now, that includes helping vulnerable populations with shopping. Jade Powell is a pre-med student in Las Vegas, and she started a new effort called Shopping Angels. It's a volunteer-based service where the elderly or those battling health conditions can get items brought to them for free.
Going to one store could be an all-day affair for an elderly person. They don't have a lot of money to spend on gas and, a lot of energy to drive around to all different stores, only to find out that they can't even get the basic supplies that they need to last them for a couple weeks.
Volunteers will be required to wear masks and gloves when shopping.
For many women, their wedding day is something they've been dreaming of since they were kids. And now with new recommendations from the CDC limiting the sizes of gatherings, spring brides might be facing the harsh reality that their dream wedding could be put on hold. RTV6's Kelsey Anderson reports.
You've got the decorations, you've got the white dress, and you have all the wedding favors. But with the CDC recommending no more than 50 people together at a gathering for the next 8 weeks, is your wedding on the line? I spoke to an expert about what you should be doing.
We're hoping that it's only for about 8 weeks, but we have no way of knowing that.
It's uncharted territory for Tammy Pizzaki, who has assisted hundreds of Indianapolis brides in the planning process. But this is not the typical wedding day disaster.
There's a lot of panic.
She's the vice president of Perfect Wedding Guide. She's usually working to connect brides with local vendors, but right now, her job is coming up with a plan of action for each spring wedding, currently in limbo due to coronavirus. The CDC recommending to keep gatherings smaller and smaller.
We went from 250 to 50 in a matter of 48 hours. So that's, the vendors in the city are very much saying to the couples, I know it's disappointing, but we really just need to wrap our heads around the fact that this live in-person wedding isn't going to happen this spring.
Difficult for couples to hear, but she says there are other options.
You can still get married on that day. you know, you can still do an elopement and then plan this great, big, huge wedding. So you don't have to feel like you're putting your life on hold. You're putting a party on hold.
She says to remember, no matter what happens, you are still getting married to the love of your life, and this is just a unique chapter in your story.
You're going to have a really great story to tell. You know, your 10-year anniversary is going to be a whole lot of fun because you're going to have great stories.
Pasaki says if you are someone who's getting married this spring, you need to reach out to all of your vendors and ask them what their cancellation and postponement policies are. That way you can get a better understanding of how to handle this situation. For now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
And thank you, Kelsey. Temperatures in central Indiana, comfortable with the sunshine that we've got. Dry tonight, mild the next 3 days with temperatures peaking on Thursday. It turns very wet as well. Let's hop to tomorrow's temperatures. Rising temperature, rising rain chance. We'll be well into the 50s through the day tomorrow. The morning hours are dry, but don't be fooled. The rain will move in. There we are by 1 o'clock with the rain fairly widespread through the afternoon into the evening. Then this wave will move out and we'll wait for another. I think we'll probably see 2 or 3 waves of rain between Wednesday afternoon and Friday morning. There are your Thursday temperatures, well into the 60s. As we get to Thursday afternoon, there's a push of rain, and then I think again Thursday night into Friday morning we'll have more rain arrive. Temperature trend stays on the mild side until the weekend.
Let's start the Now News feed. The Fed taking another step to help protect the market. It's buying short-term loans in a move that's expected to help the flow of credit. This comes as businesses shut down and people are left out of work. Credit card companies are working to help customers. Discover is offering qualified customers help, including with payment deadlines. Apple Card is helping people in their customer assistance program. American Express says it will talk to customers about payment options. Wells Fargo and Capital One are also offering forms of relief. Facebook is trying to help small businesses. It's offering $100 million in cash grants and credits. The company says up to 30,000 businesses are eligible for help. Some people making car payments also getting some help. Hyundai is relaunching its job loss protection program. If someone is fired or laid off, they can get help with payments. Meanwhile, Ford is providing a potential payment delay for people who may be struggling. Every hour, 5 kids are seen in an emergency room for medicine poisoning. That's 40,000 children every year. A new report from Safe Kids Worldwide reveals there are some simple things that parents and caregivers can do to prevent these poisonings.
There are lots of misconceptions. I think probably the first one is that prescription medicines are the only ones that are dangerous. And I think it's important for parents to remember that over-the-counter medications can also be very dangerous for children.
Safe Kids says there are 5 steps that parents can take to keep kids safe. Know where all medicine is kept and make sure it's out of reach, and then try using reminder tools like on your phone instead of leaving pills out on a counter or a nightstand. Now save the poison help number in your phone and post it for caregivers. That way if something does happen, you can ask an expert if you do need to go get help. Now as your child grows and learns, realize that you may need to change your child-proofing habits. Choose child-resistant packaging as much as possible, but realize they are never 100% secure.
Especially people who take multiple medicines, who might have the container that divides by day. Those are really easy for children to get into. So unfortunately, that's an area where there really needs to be more innovation, because as of now, there's still really not anything that truly is childproof.
Safe Kids says that medicine poisoning may still be happening so much because of a lack of education. It comes down to families being vigilant about prevention. Let's get back to our lineup. Calls for seniors and their caregivers looking for help are up. Everything from home maintenance to affording health care. The concerns about one type of call that's increasing for the first time.